Welcome to WellthSync. AI hosts discuss anxiety, sharing insights. The sources and material referred to in this video are in the description below. Join our AI conversation.
You know that feeling? That knot in your stomach, maybe the racing thoughts, just that weight of the what ifs.
Yeah, it's a really common thing.
It really is. And it seems especially common for, many of us in our 20s, 30s, 40s maybe.
Right, when you're juggling so much, careers, families.
Exactly. Just keeping up with everything. So look, if you felt more anxious lately, please know you are absolutely not alone.
That's so true. And actually reports, you often see them referenced by groups like the American Psychiatric Association. They confirm it.
They do.
Yeah, a lot of people are feeling more anxious now than even, say, a year ago. It's a really widely shared human experience right now.
Absolutely. And in this deep dive, well, we're not just going to say you're not alone and leave it there.
No.
We want to explore some gentle but really powerful ways to maybe find a bit more calm.
Yeah.
And we're drawing this specifically from the articles and notes you shared with us.
Yeah, the idea is to really pull out the key insights from that material.
Right. Getting to the heart of what these sources tell us about maybe navigating anxiety with a bit more kindness, understanding it a bit better.
Exactly. This isn't about, trying to just fight anxiety off or force it away.
Yeah.
It's more about understanding it and learning some practical tools grounded in the information provided to sort of move through it.
Okay.
So we'll look at how these sources talk about anxiety in the body.
Right. The physical side.
Yeah. And strategies for calming that, busy mind.
Always helpful.
And also perspectives on listening to emotions, like they're giving us information.
Oh, interesting.
And finally, the power of gentle ritual, just small grounding things.
Okay, sounds good. Let's unpack this material then. So one theme that really jumped out at me was how anxiety isn't just thoughts. It's really physical, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's deep in the body. The sources definitely touch on that. The tension, the restlessness you feel.
Yeah.
And a really foundational insight, which came up in a few pieces discussing, simple practices, is the power of movement.
Movement, okay.
Yeah. One source had that line, action is the antidote to anxiety. But it doesn't mean you have to go run a marathon, unless that's your thing.
Right. It's not about intense exercise necessarily.
No. It's more about just breaking that physical stillness that anxiety can kind of trap you in. Another source talked about the nervous system response. It explained how physical release, even just a good stretch or a really brief walk around the room, can send signals that actually counteract that fight or flight thing.
Ah, okay. So you're actively telling your body it's okay to kind of stand down.
Precisely. It's a direct line to telling your body it's safe to downregulate. It makes you wonder, what's one small, gentle movement you could even offer yourself right now, just listening to this?
That makes so much sense. And the sources aren't just saying move more, they're giving the why, the biology behind even simple movement.
Right.
Okay, so while the body's reacting, our minds, well, they're often off to the races, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, running wild.
Conjuring all those what-if scenarios, future tripping.
Totally. And this is where another really powerful idea from your sources comes in. It's about gently bringing yourself back to the present moment.
Grounding yourself.
Exactly. Dr. Russell Kennedy, a neuroscientist mentioned in the material.
Yeah, I saw that name.
He shared this question that is just incredibly simple, but honestly so effective for an anxious mind, just asking, am I safe in this moment?
Right. Not thinking about yesterday or tomorrow, but right here, right now. Is there an actual immediate danger?
Exactly. And for most of us, in most moments when anxiety flares up, the honest answer is no. I'm actually okay right now.
Okay. And the sources explain why that works.
Yes, they do. Dr. Kennedy's work, as presented, suggests that this question helps engage the prefrontal cortex, that's the rational thinking part of the brain.
Like the planning part.
Yeah, exactly. And it helps that part override the amygdala's alarm signal. The amygdala is often firing based on a perceived threat, maybe something in the future.
So it's like consciously redirecting your brain's focus.
You got it. A conscious redirection of neural resources.
That detail from the source about why it works, the brain science bit, that's really helpful, I think.
I agree.
And the sources also mentioned physical anchors for this.
Yeah.
Like ways to make it more tangible.
Yes. It's like placing a hand on your heart while you ask that question, am I safe right now? Or Mel Robbins, who was mentioned in one article, talks about these self-comforting holds, maybe one hand on your chest, one on your belly.
Right. Or she has that love sandwich self-hug thing.
Yeah, and what's really compelling about these physical actions, as one piece explained it, is they actually stimulate nerve endings, like the vagus nerve, which runs through the body and heavily influences our stress response.
Okay, so it's not just symbolic comfort.
Not at all. It sends signals of safety and connection directly to the brain. You're literally using your physical presence to help ground your mental state. That specific neurological link is a really powerful takeaway from the source material.
Wow, okay, that really reframes those physical acts. They're not just gestures, they're biologically doing something.
Spot on.
Okay. So we've touched on the body and ways to bring the mind back to the present. What about the actual feeling, the emotion of anxiety itself? The source talked about that too, right? Our relationship with it.
They did. And this brings up a really important perspective found in the material. The idea of treating emotions, including anxiety, not as like problems to be squashed.
Right, not as enemies.
Exactly, but as information, as messages. Psychologist Dr. Julie Smith, who was cited in the sources, really emphasizes this.
Okay, so instead of that knee-jerk reaction, oh no, anxiety, this is bad, make it stop. The approach is more about shifting to curiosity, gently asking, okay, what is this feeling maybe trying to tell me? What's the information here?
Precisely. The sources suggest it's about trying to understand the message that's underneath the discomfort.
So like, is the anxiety popping up because I'm total overstretched and maybe need to say no to something?
Could be. Or is it pointing to maybe a need for connection you haven't been getting? Or maybe you just need some rest.
So by just labeling the emotion kind of neutrally, okay, this feeling is anxiety and maybe the information is I'm feeling overwhelmed, we create a little distance.
Exactly. A bit of space. As one source put it, you're no longer like wrestling a monster in the dark.
You're receiving a message. Maybe one you don't like, but still a message.
Right. And the next step, kind of guided by that information, is asking, okay, given this message, what's one small, kind action I could take? Something to address that underlying need.
So it turns the feeling into a prompt, like a prompt for self-care or maybe gentle problem solving.
Yes, exactly. Grounded in the insight you got from actually listening to the feeling, which is what the sources suggest.
Turning anxiety from an enemy into, well, maybe an uncomfortable messenger. That's a really significant shift offered by the material.
It really is.
Okay. And finally, let's look at how the sources talked about building maybe more consistent support structures, like gentle rituals.
Yes, creating small, intentional moments in your day. These can act like anchors, you know? Anchors against that drift of anxiety.
Little stability points.
Yeah. Dr. Rangan Chatterjee, who was highlighted in the sources for his really simple, practical approaches, he advocates for something like a 5-minute journal practice.
Okay, just 5 minutes. It doesn't sound like it needs to be, writing pages and pages or processing deep trauma.
No, not at all. One source described it as just a quick, structured moment. Maybe you jot down the 3 things you're grateful for.
Or maybe just get some of those swirling thoughts out of your head and onto paper, just to see them.
Exactly, to create a little distance. And the insight here, drawing from the research mentioned, isn't just about what you write, it's the act itself.
Consistency.
The consistency. It's a predictable pause in your day, a moment you carve out just to connect with yourself, maybe before all the external demands rush in.
Right.
And that consistency, even for just a few minutes, the sources suggest it can build resilience over time. It can help lower that underlying hum of anxiety.
It sounds like these rituals are about creating these small pockets of intentional calm, and they kind of add up. You don't need huge blocks of time.
Precisely. Accumulation over time.
Okay, so we've explored moving the body, grounding the mind in the present, listening to emotions as information, and building these gentle rituals, all pulled from the material you shared.
Yeah, some really practical takeaways there.
Definitely. And, circling back to where we started, it really bears repeating. You are absolutely not alone in feeling anxious.
Not at all. And crucially, you're not alone in looking for ways to navigate it with maybe a bit more ease and understanding.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Every single person you meet today or this week, they're likely carrying their own invisible challenges, their own version of this feeling, whatever it looks like for them.
That's such an important point. And by exploring these tools and insights, like the ones from the sources we discussed,
Yeah.
you're not just helping yourself find maybe a little more peace, which is huge in itself.
Right.
You're also kind of part of this quiet, collective movement. a movement towards acknowledging our shared vulnerability and actively seeking ways to feel better, to improve well-being.
I like that idea, a quiet collective movement. And every small step counts. So maybe just take a gentle breath right now. You've got this.
Yeah. And perhaps think, given how everything we talked about is connected body, thoughts, feelings, habits, what does just one of these insights from our deep dive suggest you might gently explore first? Maybe just this week.